I think that there's truth in dark humor. And it really came. It was like, please excuse my depression. It has a mind of its own. Like, I can't control this. And I thought, I can paint that out in the world. Oh, I can get my voice out at a time that I wasn't being heard in my life. Within the first couple weeks, I got a message on Instagram from a kid that said, hey man, I came across your art. I tried to kill myself 3 times this year. Your art let me know that I'm not alone in this world. And I just want to say thank you.
What did that mean to you when you read that? Like, what went through your mind?
It brought me to tears. It was a major shift in my life because I knew that I was doing this to try and heal myself. And I hoped that it would mean something to people. I never thought that it would mean that much.
You know, for a long time, I sort of suffered in silence. This series is trying to shine a light on these topics.
There is no stigma to me. It's mine.
Trusty, I'm so glad to have you on the show, man. Not only do I love street art, but when I found out that your story in particular intersects with mental health, I was psyched to just have you on Mind Matters. So let's just start at the beginning and tell me how you got into street art.
My intention is not vandalism. I didn't start this to destroy property. I started it because I felt like my voice wasn't being heard. And I've been in the graffiti and street art scene for years. I've been photographing it for a decade and a half. In 2015, I was seeing someone. It turned into a really abusive relationship. I kept putting myself second. I put someone else's emotional well-being ahead of my own, which is incredibly destructive. And within, maybe a month or so, I felt it and I knew exactly what it was. I knew that depression was grabbing at me, and I've sort of ridden the wave of depression throughout my life. And so I knew that I had to do something. I really tried to fight it because I was scared about slipping back into a bad one.
When you were out of that relationship, did things get better or?
Oh, it got so much worse. It's probably one of the craziest things I've ever been through.
When did you start to realize that doing street art would be the thing that would help you cope?
I was looking for things that would occupy me 100% so that I wouldn't focus on my depression. I found 2 things. I found reading and painting. I'm a stencil artist. Hand cutting the stencils takes 100% focus. You can't think about anything else. It really sort of came as a lightning strike. The first one was, please excuse my depression, it has a mind of its own. Even though I was doing something as sort of art therapy for myself, I wanted people to be able to interact with it, to basically complete the piece of art themselves.
And they have. Since 2017, TrustyScribe has painted his speech bubbles across the US, Mexico, and Europe. People began snapping photos and tagging him in their posts, creating an Instagram community with thousands of engaged followers.
I really appreciate that he has the courage to put these things up for the world to see.
It's so rare to see a very direct message about mental health.
And it really stood out to me because of the fact that I go through mental health issues myself, being depression and anxiety.
It just opened this whole new world for me. And I felt like, well, here's somebody else that's fighting the fight with me.
It has a domino effect. So if you help one person, that person is going to go ahead and help other and another.
And it kind of creates a real communal experience. And I think that's something that a lot of us throughout this pandemic have kind of been looking for, is just kind of a sense of connection with someone, something, or anything.
I think one of the reasons why it resonates is because I think people understand that it comes from an honest place, that the person that created the thing experienced that thing. I don't know if you saw the one,
I don't want to kill myself one.
I don't want to kill myself, I just don't want to be here anymore.
What was the reaction to that one?
Well, so the interesting thing about that one is the people that have experienced that, there's a knowing nod. They get it. People that have not experienced it, I think they find it somewhat appalling. But the beauty of it is, regardless of what side you fall on, you're still now having a conversation about mental health. And where that came from actually is when I started really just falling into my depression, I started calling around looking for help. If you're in a really bad way, it triggers a suicide protocol. And that suicide protocol is, are you feeling suicidal? Do you have a means, a way, and a plan? And my response genuinely was, I don't want to kill myself. I just don't want to be here anymore. And the response I got was, well, we can maybe see you in 6 weeks. And I said, do you think I'm still going to be here in 6 weeks? And I was really fortunate. My family stepped in and they were like, just go get a therapist. I got a psychiatrist as well and was put on medication. And so I was being managed and overseen that way. The most important thing of what I did was I reached out for help.
Now you're all of a sudden in this position of like really maybe prolonging people's lives. You're actually in the business of saving lives when you set out to simply save your own. When someone speaks about their mental health journey, whether they like it or not, it unlocks the ability for other people to speak about theirs. And there's a chain reaction that ultimately is great.
I've been really fortunate in that sense that when people find out who I am and what I do, they inevitably start talking about what either they're going through or what a friend or a family member is going through.
It's like Fight Club. Like all of a sudden, everybody's just like, oh, come on, let's, you're in it too, let's talk. And like, it is like this commonality that we have. What would you say to somebody watching this right now who's struggling?
Even when it feels like you're alone, know that you're not alone and that you can reach out. There are organizations or people in your life who love you and want you to be okay. It takes just a phone call, just a little bit of effort to reach out and start on that path towards healing yourself.
Do you think about the future of TrustyScribe? What is in store for it? Are there other themes that you want to tackle? Where do you want to take this?
I think the word bubbles will always be there. What I would really love to do is Love is the Only Language I Speak Fluently, one in every country around the world, giant, like on the side of a building in the language of that culture. The more love you give to people, the more love you can receive back, and the more love that goes out into the world. It's a ripple effect, so why wouldn't we want to spread more love around the world?